Go.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Friar Talk podcast. Today, we're going to be recapping the Rockies series, previewing the Red series, and just talking about overall Jace Tingler and some of our biggest disappointments and surprises so far in the season. But Chase, I'm gonna go ahead and get started. What do you think? What did you think of this Rocky series? I was pretty disappointed. Obviously, I think all Padres fans were. We just got swept by the 2021 Colorado Rockies. That's pretty sad. But you know, there are a lot of teams that kind of go through this kind of funk throughout their season. It's a 162 game season. We're still in June. But Chase, what did you think?
It was a really good series. Considering the bats started to come alive with the 2 and 3 games, he scored 4 runs in that second game, and the bullpen kind of just falls apart. And there were some defensive miscues in the outfield. And then yesterday, where your team puts up 7 runs, and then your starter gives up 7 runs, and it kind of just falls out in the ninth inning. The bullpen was poorly managed, in my opinion, the last 2 games, but the bats were coming around. So, that's always something to look forward to. Grish is starting to, have his resurgence after coming off the IL. Manny started to hit pretty well this series. So, hopefully we can continue that into this Red series. But yeah, it was just overall disappointing. You expect to go into Colorado and be like, you know what, we're way better than this team. And we got swept. And it's just one of those things where you're just like, okay, you know what? Time to flush this from my memory and move on, because there's no good of just hanging on to being swept by the Rockies.
Yeah, I kind of noticed a weird thing going on where when the lineup is on, putting up a bunch of runs, the pitching is not there. And when the pitching is there, the lineup is not. We saw it throughout the Mets series. Joe Musgrove threw a good game, no run support. Blake Snell was obviously pretty bad. He's been pretty bad all year. But the next game, it takes until the 6th or 7th inning for Chris Padres to get any run support. And then in this series, we see Yu Darvish goes out there. He doesn't have a very good start, but we put up 4 runs or something like that, maybe a little more. I forgot. Blake Snell was atrocious. We put up 7 runs for him. And that is usually a winnable ball game for a guy that's supposed to be an ace or a Cy Young caliber pitcher. That should be a breeze. You should be able to go 6 or 7 innings, no problem. And we're going to talk about Blake Snell in later in the segment. But just for like a little reference, in Blake Snell's Cy Young winner year in 2018, he threw 31 games, went 21-5 with a 1.89 ERA. This year, he's thrown 14 games. He's 2-3 with a 5.72 ERA. And I honestly thought his ERA would be like in the 6s or 7s right now. But overall, this is a really disappointing series. The bats were starting to come around, and the pitching was not. But just a really bad funk for the Padres right now. Hopefully, they turn it around soon. Going to be a big homestand coming against the Reds and the Dodgers. The Reds are a really hot baseball team right now. The Dodgers are pretty hot as well. And the Rockies have not been hot all year. So it was really, really tough to see us get swept in that series. But Chase, what did you think overall was the worst part of the series? What do you think went completely wrong other than Blake Snell? Anything about Jace Tingler, anything like that?
I think we learned that Profar should not be playing in the outfield. And 2, Tingler's bullpen usage this series kind of concerned me. He started putting in guys where they normally aren't there. Like Adams usually isn't a 9th inning guy. You put him in the 6th or 7th inning, and he put him in before to try to get out of a bases loaded jam where he gave up 2 runs. And he's one of those guys where he's really good to start off an inning because he may walk a guy or accidentally hit a guy, but then he'll strike out the next few to get out of it. Putting him in a bases loaded jam where he's kind of more confined to throwing into the strike zone and sort of trying not to hit the batter. It doesn't play to his specialty. And then in the 9th inning, we really haven't seen Austin Adams pitch in the 9th inning, and we haven't seen Melanson pitch in I don't know how long. So why wasn't he there for that 9th inning? I know it was a tied game, but you lose that game if the Rockies score. I'd much rather have our closer go out there and then, fight back in the 10th inning where we got a guy starting at second base. Maybe we can score some runs and then throw in Austin Adams or another guy who is used to being in big lever or high leverage situations. I thought Tingler did a bad job there. The lineups were fine. The bats were actually live. So yeah, those are my only two, big what ifs in the series.
Yeah, and throughout the series, we saw the guys were getting a bunch of hits. Throughout in this last game, everyone got a hit, I believe, except for Kim. Hosmer only had one at bat, and I forgot who else.
Kim got it.
Kim didn't get a hit, right? Yeah, I was wrong. Rivas didn't get a hit. It was Rivas who didn't get a hit. So the bats were still there. We're starting to see the lineup starting to come around a little bit more. Pham and Tatis at the top I thought it was a really good combo. I love having Tatis in the cleanup, but right now we need him at the top to be able to get on base. And, he's pretty much his own run support right now, unfortunately. But it was a very disappointing series to see. No one wants to get swept by the Rockies, but luckily it is a 162-game season instead of a 60. So it's a marathon. It's not a race. It's not about who's hottest in June. It's about who's the hottest come September. And obviously we want to reach September and end with 95 to 100 wins. I think that's what we predicted. I think 90 is really, really good too. We want to see us in the playoffs, but like I said, as long as we're hottest in September, I have, teams are going to go through these kind of skids. The Dodgers went through this kind of skid earlier in the year. The Braves are pretty bad right now. I still think they're a pretty good team. I think they have a couple of injuries right now. But everyone goes through this kind of skid. It is what it is. Got swept by the Rockies, got to move on, and hopefully they have a really good homestand. We know the Padres are a much better team at home this year, so hopefully they show that. But Chase, do you have anything else regarding this series?
Now let's move on next.